this is Pop, and I want to talk about my fire kit. This is a fire kit that I made. It's got tools in here to make fire 5 different ways, and I've also got a few other items in here that I just want to show. I just kind of stuck them in. The little pouch that I've got here can fit around your belt. It can be clipped on your backpack. You can take it camping. You can also just throw it in the back of your Jeep or your truck or your car. In case you ever get stuck anywhere, you always have quite a few options of making fire. First option of making a fire is the good old standby matches. And these are the self-striking matches, and I put these in a watertight container. And some of you may recognize this is old 35 millimeter can that people used to have. Next is just a regular butane cigarette lighter, self-explanatory. Next we've got what a lot of people have used, which is a tool that's really reliable, and this is the magnesium rod. This particular rod is embedded in a handle, and it's also got a hacksaw blade that's been chopped off. And what I did was just take it off, kind of taper the end so it won't jab you, cut you, but I did leave the actual cutting part of the actual hacksaw blade on there, so you can also use that for other things too, and very reliable. That's probably one of my favorite ways of making fire. Next we have a little bit more primitive way on the first, second, third, and this is the fourth way here, is the flint and steel. The steel itself is from an old file that I had, and I just broke it off in a vise, and I ground down one of the edges with a filing off of it. Good piece of steel for that, high carbon. And then for my flint, I'm actually using a rock that I just found in South Alabama, and really I think we call it chert down here, and I think it's called chert everywhere in the United States anyway. But this can put off a few sparks, enough sparks hopefully that you can light something that we call char cloth, and I'll talk about that a little bit more and show you how to make char cloth in another video, but also demonstrate how to make a fire with the flint and the steel. Last, I've got a more primitive way of making a fire that some of you are not familiar with, and this is called a fire piston. What a fire piston does is you've created a cylinder and you've created a piston, and what happens is that when you put this piston into the cylinder, and as you press, you can actually compress the air, and if you compress it fast enough, it'll actually ignite. So if you have something to use as an ember that will catch fire, you can put it in the end of this little piston here, and char cloth works really great. Most people use char cloth. You put it in here, you compress it, and you'll have a fire, or a little ember here that you can start a fire with from a tinder bundle. And again, I'm going to go over all of these ways of making a fire in another video. The contents that I have left in this fire kit is an Altoids can, and you can use this to collect your fire tinder. If you're walking through the woods, you just come across something that, say, this is probably something I could use to help me make a fire, just throw it into your Altoids can. In the tin itself, I've also included some jute wire, jute string, that's what I think they call it, jute string. And what you can do with that is cut a piece up, and I've done that already, cut a piece of that off, and you just kind of pull it apart, and it comes out with this nice little tinder bundle that you can have, and it really ignites with a flame, and you can actually start it with some sparks that we'll demonstrate whenever we start fires. In here also, I've got a flashlight that you can use. You don't always get to start a fire before dark. Something may happen where you have to start a fire after dark. This little light will help you to not only find your equipment, but find some wood that's around the campfire or around your little camp there. We also got a knife, just standard to have a knife. And as always, to have this knife out when you use the fire piston, and I'll demonstrate that whenever I demonstrate the fire piston. Also got a whistle in here. Not much of a fire, but it's also more of a survival thing to have. especially if you lose somebody that's in your party or you're unable to get somewhere. This will definitely draw some attention. Even though this is a fire kit, I put a few more things, not only with a whistle, to make it a survival kit. I just kind of thought to myself, what else would I like to have with me if I'm in a condition or in a situation where I may need to stay out a few days, and if it's going to take me a while to get back, for someone to find me. And I just thought, and I just got this Eclipse Mints can, and I said, well, first thing I'd have is some 550 cord. And with the 550 cord, I got the 7-strand 550 cord, which got 7 strands of nylon string in it. Holds up to 550 pounds like it is. It's approximately 4 foot. This can be used to make snares. This can be used to catch fish as fishing line. And speaking of fishing line, I've also put some hooks in here too. Put myself in 3 hooks. The way I put it in is I put some tape around 3 hooks and just kind of tape them together like so. So there's actually 3 hooks in here. The tin itself, no holes in the tin. It's just a regular tin. One thing that I think I can do, I haven't tested it, but I may do that in another video, is actually put some water in here and put it in the fire, see if I can get the water to boil and make sure it will stay watertight, and clear some water for me, or purify some water for drinking. So that's more the survival element of the kit itself. Other than that, I've got just a few more things in here. I've got some little tube of Vaseline to lubricate the fire piston, and I'll show you how to do that whenever we demonstrate making a fire with a fire piston. A pencil, little piece of cloth to clean the fire piston, and also I got about a 2 foot by 2 foot piece of cloth also that you can make char cloth. And that's one thing that we'll make in another video, is a char cloth. So I'll actually have 3 videos here. This video for the contents of the fire kit, another video that will demonstrate ways of making a fire that you're not familiar with, and also we'll have a video on making char cloth. And we'll make char cloth actually out of a tin. And if you've noticed, the Altoids tin that can hold your tinder bundle or your char cloth, it's got a little bitty hole in the top, and you can just throw this in the campfire and make your char cloth whenever you have a fire. Just cut a little piece off with your knife, put it in, let it sit in your fire over the coals for about 10 minutes, and you've got char cloth that you can use again to use with either your flint and steel or your magnesium rod or your fire piston. So that concludes the contents of the fire kit. Hope this helps you understand what's in here and why it's in here, and stay tuned for the next video of making fires with the different 5 ways that I've got here included in this kit. Thanks.
Too bad your baby is crying. You're too busy with all those loose ends you are tying. Convince the world that he's not okay, so you can make your clean getaway. Oh,